It's Natalie, and I'm here with a Cherry on Top Crafts today, and it's Technique Tuesday. This month, we are focused on creating our own backgrounds. So I am going to create a mixed media background for my scrapbook page. So I'm using that Christmas photo. I already have this clear gesso all over my textured white cardstock. I love to use textured white cardstock because I just think it adds one more kind of element or layer to your fun, messy mixed media background, right? So I applied clear gesso to most of the middle of that page. And now I'm going to use this texture paste. This one from Ranger, the matte one, is my favorite. The Crafters Workshop tiny dots stencil is so delicate and fine, and I'm super excited to use it. You can see it's brand new. And I'm just bringing my photo back. I'm going to crop it down to more of a square. And so I'm just showing you, I kind of want to bring, like a diamond pattern behind the photo. So kind of a little bit to a point up at the top and at the bottom, and then kind of more spread out across the middle of the page. And then my photo will sit right there in the middle of the page. And it's going to be very mixed media heavy, so I'm not going to do a ton of pattern paper, so I'm not really leaving any room to add pattern paper beyond layering it up behind the photo. And you can look at all those tiny little dots. It reminds me of that penny tile, but even smaller. I really love the way that it turns out. So I let that dry, go clean off my stencil, and I now have my water out. I'm going to use my Distress Oxides as watercolors. So I'm just going to scrape them onto the page, onto the gessoed areas, and then I was going to spritz them, but my spritzer's on the fritz. I blame a child. So I'm going to just dab water with my bigger paintbrush here and kind of just let the ink turn into watercolor, and then I'll move the page around a little bit, let it run in between the dots on that awesome texture paste. I'm using Picked Raspberry, and then I start using Festive Berries, I think. And then I'm like, well, it's very orangey. So then I go get Candied Apple, which honestly, I think Candied Apple and Festive Berries are essentially the same color. So I try to go with it, and I'm like wetting it, but like, look how orange it looks, right? Which is fine, but it doesn't match the collections I pulled out. So I go back in with some Lumberjack Plaid, which is a true, I would say, quote, Christmassy red. And then I kind of just cover all that up, and it blends really nicely, and I'm happy with how that looks. I don't typically use a ton of red mixed media because it tends to look like it might be a bit of a merge scene, but in this case for Christmas it worked. And also the red part is mostly going to be under the photo, right? So more of the pink will be seen and the red will just peek out. So I'm just kind of filling in the blanks with additional pink. I go in and add worn lipstick as well, kind of mixing that with the Picked Raspberry, allowing it to flow into the red portions as well. I do like to kind of plop my brush on when it's really wet to kind of get extra little splatters around there. And I'm really happy with how that is looking. So I'm going to kind of let it dry. I do help it along with my heat gun, but it's gonna roll up a little bit no matter what. When I put it in a page protector in my heavy album, it'll flatten it out. So no big deal. I'm even using the gun to dry it on the other side just because I'm impatient. Just make sure not to hold the gun in the same place for too long because it will like burn your paper. So I wanted it to dry because I want to add splatter. In order to add splatter, it needs to be dry. Otherwise your splatter will just kind of blend into the wet pieces on your page. So I allowed it to completely dry. Now I'm going in with some red splatter and then also pink splatter as well. And yeah, I am going to let that dry naturally without rolling it up with a paper towel roll because I do want it to kind of have a darker tint to it. I grabbed this really cute Catherine Pooler Christmas stamp set. It's from last year. It is called Nostalgic Season, but it has a couple of really cute little stars on it that are Christmassy and also retro. And they match some of the collections that I'm using. So I decide to do first, second, and third generation stamping. So basically that just means that I put ink on my stamp and I stamp it 1, 2, and 3 times. So I get different levels of color here. And so I just stamp them randomly around the page, and I'm going to do it with a couple of the different colors and a couple of different star stamps. And that just kind of adds a different shape to the background, another layer, if you will, of just interest for your eye to look at on your mixed media background. So I'm loving how that looks, and it's, you know, it's not super precise because it's overlapping watercolor and overlapping some texture paste, but again, that just lends to like the distressed nature of the look of the page and everything, and I'm totally happy with it. So what is up next? Oh, so I have a great love for rub-ons from 49 & Market, and these are the Christmas 49 & Market rub-ons from last year, and I decided to pull out some little pops of black because my photo is black and white, and so I also want to make the background be cohesive with what else I'm adding to the page. So I pulled out the music notes that are in black, and I put them in a visual triangle in 3 little spots around the page. And then I'm going to add a little bit of black splatter as well. I did find these other red star rub-ons, so I thought that would be really nice to kind of add around the edges where I also put the stars that were stamped. But so that just added to the red. I do want to include the black elements, so you'll see me doing that as we go. While I'm still kind of letting that dry, I decided it's time to start working on the building up of the layers of my photo because I am ready soon to put it on the page, and I want to make sure that it's not covering up any of the background that I want to actually see. So I pull out last year's collection by Simple Stories, and that was called Mistletoe. Mix and a Mingle. And then this year's Fruitcake and Tinsel collection by Fancy Pants. I feel like they're going to go together really nicely. So I got the 6x8 paper pads for both of those, and I'm just using pieces of paper from both of those to layer behind my photo. I'm just going to have a little bit of paper sticking out, but I really like the opportunity to use that kaleidoscope paper from Fruitcake and Tinsel that was so many different colors because I had a black and white photo. I don't often print my photos in black and white, so I thought that this was a chance to kind of let a unique color palette shine for a Christmas collection. So now I've pulled out this pewter mica spray by Ranger Tim Holtz, and it is got like a black tint to it. Now you see me, I'm kind of like really stirring it up because the sediment, the mica powder does settle at the bottom. So it tends to come out like a little bit gray, but if I really dig in there, I can get some darker drops of it. But I feel like this is perfect to kind of add pops of black that will help to bring cohesion to the page with my black and white photo, as well as the black music notes that I used as rub-ons. Now, I have some fun foam here, just foam sheets that I'm going to use to make different layers behind my photo. So I'm gonna, and I picked a fun color that if it is seen from like the side, not that it usually will be, but if it's seen, then you can see the cool color and like it's just another layer kind of, because it's gonna fill up almost the entirety of the back of each of these sheets. I'm also using black distress ink to ink up all the pieces of this distressed paper. The ink really helps the papers to pop off of the page, but it also, again, adds to that cohesive element of including black around the page. So it's my photo's black and white. Now I have my papers inked in black, and I have those bits of black on the background as well. So I put foam behind my photo and foam behind the paper, the first layer of paper, then I add the other 2 papers, and then I decide to put foam behind them as well, mostly because when you are using gesso and texture paste on your background, things don't really love to stick to that. So I'm going to use this foam that's super duper sticky, and then I'm also going to stick it down with tape and use liquid adhesive so that there's really no question that it's gonna stay stuck, right? So that's to me better than sticking it directly onto the textured paper with all this stuff, because also you might be able to kind of see bumps and lumps, and I definitely don't want that behind my photo to be demonstrated or seen. So I'm going to carefully stick it in the middle, making sure that I can still see all 3 of the little rub-ons that I put in a nice little visual triangle. I do kind of wish that I had stuck my photo down before I added those. And these foam stickers are from the Mix and a Mingle collection. And that is actually the title that I'm going to use, because this is like a family thing that we all went and did. So we were mixing and mingling. And you can kind of see in the background, it says Nashville. We were at the Sound Stadium and they did all these lights and it was really fun. So I'm going to cover up some of the negative spaces in the photo with those foam stickers, and I just really love the extra dimension that adds. And they are going to look so good with the fruitcake and tinsel foam stickers as well, which I'm going to use from Fancy Pants. I love when the collections can mix and match like that because I love to mix and match everything. And I love that they're using pink in their Christmas collection. I know there might be like some divisive thoughts on that, like, do you want true red and green? I am in camp pink, so I'm cool with pink in my layouts. But these two little presents matched that paper that I used directly behind the photo, which were really cool. So I'm going to layer them up. So I have to add another layer of foam tape, and that's from my cherry foam tape, in order to let me lay this foam sticker on top of the other foam sticker. And I just kind of tuck it in there. I like all of my elements to kind of touch a little bit. And I feel like that adds to a level of continuity to the layout. So I'm going to add another tree over here and do the same thing. I'm going to layer it on top of the first tree a little bit, and then add a little bit of foam tape on the side that is not layered. And I'm going to add another little black rub-on at the top, just a little word. And then I find from the Mix and Mingle collection, the sticker sheet that you can tell I've never even used one time, a little red star. And it completely matches the red stars that I stamped from the Catherine Pooler stamp set. So I was really thrilled about that. I'm just going to use it as a tree topper almost and stick it right on top here of my mixed media and my photo, right below that love word. And we're going to call it a layout. I hope you've enjoyed this Technique Tuesday. I'm sure that you can find links to all of the things down below. You can see a blog post as well with up close photos. Hop over here on YouTube and find me, Natalie Dill, on YouTube, and follow me in the gallery on Cherry on Top. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye, y'all.